Okay, so have you ever imagine having a superpower where you could just tell if something was okay to eat?
Yeah.
You know, like you look at some leftovers in the fridge and you're like, is this safe?
Yeah, I feel that all the time.
Right. Like I'm always sniffing things going, I think this is okay.
Right.
But get this, scientists are basically creating a superpower like that, an electronic tongue.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, it can actually tell if something is good or bad and do even more than that. It's being developed at Penn State University.
Penn State, okay.
And yeah, it's not like a literal tongue sticking out, you know?
Yeah.
It's more like it uses AI and sensors to analyze liquids.
Oh, so it's kind of like mimicking how we taste things.
Yeah, exactly. Isn't that so cool? Like we're teaching computers to have senses like us. So we're doing a deep dive into this today.
Awesome.
Based on this article we found, the title's kind of a funny story, actually. It's just Metinya Pusturdu.
What?
I know, right?
Yeah.
Seems like maybe a placeholder or something. But anyway, the tech itself is really cool.
So what can this electronic tongue do?
Well, it can tell us about food safety,
Okay.
if something's spoiled or not. But also some really sophisticated things like analyzing tastes, very subtle differences between things, and even detecting harmful stuff in water.
Wow, that's a lot. So how does it actually work?
So it's all about these tiny little sensors they use. They're called ion-sensitive transistors.
Ion sensitive, okay.
Yeah, so basically you can think of them like super tiny taste buds. Each one picks up on different ions. Salt tastes salty. That's because of sodium ions.
Right.
So these sensors, they can detect things like that, sodium for saltiness, or hydrogen ions, which tell you about acidity.
So it's like our tongues have different taste buds for different tastes, and this has different sensors for different ions.
Exactly. But here's the really cool part. Those sensors, they don't just detect the ions, they also translate that information into electrical signals.
Electrical signal.
Yeah, like a kind of code that a computer can read. And then, get this, a computer brain steps in to analyze it.
A computer brain? What do you mean?
It's a type of artificial intelligence called a neural network.
Okay, I've heard of those.
Yeah, so it's basically like a computer program that's really good at learning and recognizing patterns. So it takes those electrical signals from the sensors and figures out what they mean. The sensors are saying, hey, we found a bunch of hydrogen ions here. And the AI is like, okay, that means this liquid is acidic.
So it's like the sensors are the taste buds and the AI is the brain putting it all together.
Exactly.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah, definitely. So the article you mentioned, it talks about how they trained this AI right.
Yeah, and this is where it gets even cooler. They started by teaching it to analyze acidity. And they gave it specific rules to follow.
Like parameters for the analysis.
Yeah, exactly. And it did pretty well. It got to be about 91% accurate.
91%, that's pretty good.
Right. But then the scientists, they decided to try something different. They were like, hey, AI, you're already pretty good at this. What if we let you figure out your own rule?
They just let it do its own thing. Pretty much. They let the AI define its own parameters for the analysis. They let it learn and adapt its own methods.
Wow. I wonder how that turned out.
Well, it's pretty wild. Just by doing that, by letting the AI learn on its own, its accuracy jumped up to over 95%.
Wow. So it actually got better when they gave it more freedom.
I know, right? And that's what makes this electronic tongue so different from other sensors. It's not just following instructions. It's actually figuring out how to be better at what it does.
Like learning how to taste better than we taught it to?
Yeah, exactly. And that opens up so many possibilities. It's not just about checking if your milk's gone bad anymore.
Right. Imagine being able to analyze anything you want,
Exactly. Imagine going to a wine tasting, and instead of having to swirl and sniff and all that, you just have this little device.
And it just tells you everything about the wine.
Yeah. And it could even tell you which bottle you'd like best based on your own personal taste preferences. What if it could analyze your saliva and be like, okay, based on your chemistry, you'd probably prefer this one.
That would be wild. No more guessing at the wine store.
Right. But it goes even further than that. Think about food safety. What if you could scan your groceries at the store and know for sure if something is safe to eat?
That would be a game changer. No more food poisoning scares.
Exactly. And that's what's so amazing about this tech. It can make a huge difference for the quality and safety of our food.
Yeah, and the article mentions some other cool applications too, it can tell the difference between different coffee blends, or even if milk has been diluted.
Seriously. It can pick up on stuff that subtle.
Apparently, yeah. It's finding things that even professional tasters might miss.
Wow, that's like having a superpower taste bud.
Right. And it's not just about food either. The article mentions they use it to detect PFAS chemicals in water.
Those forever chemicals that are everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. So this could be huge for environmental monitoring. Imagine being able to test water sources quickly and easily and find out if they're contaminated.
Wow, that's amazing. So we started off talking about a computer that can taste, and now we're talking about revolutionizing food safety, creating personalized experiences, and even protecting the environment.
It's really incredible to think about the potential impact of this technology.
It really shows you what happens when you combine cutting-edge science with a deep understanding of how things work.
Yeah, it's like we're unlocking new possibilities by learning from nature and then improving upon it.
It's like we're giving computers a whole new way to experience the world. And that makes you wonder, if we can teach a computer to taste, what else can we teach it? What about smell? Or touch?
Right, like what if we could give robots a sense of touch so they could interact with the world more delicately?
Or imagine a computer that could smell things. Like imagine a device that could sniff out diseases or gas leaks way before humans could.
That's a really cool thought. It's like we're on the verge of a whole new era of sensing and interacting with the world.
And who knows where it will lead us.
Yeah,
It's exciting to think about the possibilities.
definitely. And it makes you wonder what other human senses we might be able to replicate in the future. What kind of impact could that have on our lives? It's pretty mind-blowing to think about.
I know, right? It's like the future is wide open.